that opportunity that they didn't have. We've screwed everything from the 70s, as all the way up into 81, 82, when we started hearing all about these other things. So can you imagine a world of living? And like when we did drugs back then, we to the Paradise Garage Club, which opened on Saturday nights for the gays. They opened on Friday nights, but it was 12 midnight all the way in the afternoon on Sunday. So when we would get tired at 3 in the morning, we would drop tabs of acid in the punch because they didn't serve alcohol. And that acid had for all the way to 12 o'clock. And you came out, when you went in, it was dark. And when you came out, the sun was shining. Okay. And so we did drugs kind of keep us going. And then marijuana was the thing where, but even like cocaine, not in the 70s, you did not see people sniffing cocaine or hear them sniffing in the bathroom. Because if you ever were doing that, everybody would scream on you, you're a junkie. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about rehab. It wasn't about going to meetings. It was about you are a junkie. You're doing drugs. It was like, oh, my God.
Yes. It was all about self-control, controlling and being, conservative.
It was all
discreet.
If you had a habit, when they say underground music, you went underground. Okay. You went to some place where after those rinky-dinky places that we used to have in Brooklyn on Notion Avenue, and I forgot the name of those places, but they'd be in there carrying on in the back because, the dealers, they back there gambling with cards and coke and everything, but, they never expose it to anybody younger, or they never say, come in here and have this or that, because most of the places that those things happened at, they were straight bars. They weren't, gay bars. They were gay friendly. Right. Because me and Tony would go into these bars and one was called Hollywood on Notion Avenue between Dean Street and Dean Street and Pacific. And baby, when I tell you, he got on that floor and danced in front of them straight people. Every time the bar closed, which was the gay bar on Bergen and Nostrand, across from Starlight Lounge, was called the Backstreet Bar. And the Backstreet Bar was cool. They had a pool table, and so 2 doors down there was a pool table where all little Banshee boys were playing pool. So they would come into the gay bar, and then they would only stay in the back. So me and whoever it was on the dance floor, we'd be hustling, and they'd be leading me. Next thing I know, I'm getting cut in so many times, I'm sweating in my eyes. I'm around as one of the boys from the pool room. Now I'm going to start sliding and leaning and putting my arm around and doing all those wonderful things that you can get away with in the hustle. It's just a dance. It's no work this side of you.
Yes.
The
good old times.
Yeah, and then not only that, because we didn't have the HIV and AIDS, there were more gay-friendly people. In the first ball, there was at least 50 to 75 straight people. But then once the AIDS epidemic came out, the gay bashing started and all that changed. Wow. But I'll tell you another thing about the 70s. I used to wear finger waves. Now, back then you only had motorcycle groups where they would wear black pants or gray leather or black leather or burgundy leather or olive green. Here I come through Brooklyn with finger waves, red leather suit, Fiorucci, pants, shirt, beige sheepskin coat, beige and leather suede and leather Pierre Cardin shoes, finger waves, gold chain, and Cazelle glasses that had a little gold piece on them, like $1 million. And mind you,
pimping it out.
And I used to walk 30 blocks to go from Bushwick to Bed-Stuy. I know I was going to be seen by everybody, and people would be like, yo, are you a movie star? I'm saying to myself, do you see me in the car? You couldn't figure that one out? No, I'm just dressing nice. You see, because uptown Harlem, kids were not afraid to come out in colors like yellow and lime green and turquoise blue, orange and shit. But in Brooklyn, they weren't doing that. You had to be unspookable. And, that's another thing. I remember when I was growing up, there was like no other gay people that I know of. Unless they were deep in the closet. Right. You didn't have gay people from 50 blocks east, west, and south. But now you got 50 gay people on each block. And see, we knew back then what because it was so far and few in between that the ones that come out that were bold, they just looked like men with wigs. Ooh. A lot of them got beat down and a lot of them got hurt, and it was unfortunate. But, you know, if you're going to look like that, then what did you expect?
Looking busted and disgusting.
And you got to remember, back they didn't have surgery and implants for any guys. So those Simone titties weren't making it.
It had to be unlockable. 9 to 5.
If you moans, you had to get the German moans from Germany. And there was very few people that had, very few doctors that had that. So these drag queens continued to look like boys and men with wigs.
Wow.
And horrible.
Looking
you had makeup and going over it, but now you look like a clown.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah, that's another way of putting it.
So I had some of them coming to me and say, "Oh, you can't take me." Take you, honey. A painted brick is still a brick. If you take off the building and you paint it purple on this side of the building, or you're at the school where all those bricks are painted nicely, it's still bricks. And that's what you are, a painted brick.
A painted brick. Yes.
And
I
you
love it.
Let me tell you, I had slogans for all the children back then, and then I had that famous one where the child told me, "You can't take me." People will know who I'm talking about. But I got a $35,000 fur coat on that I won Best Dressed Man. I said, "How do you wear a $35,000 fur coat when your mother lived on Saratoga Avenue in that nasty garage where you got to hope you can miss?" I had a $35,000 fur coat. I would sell that fur coat and get my mother a nice place to live and put something in her house if I had a $35,000 coat. "Oh, well, you really can't take..." I said, "Listen, that same coat was in Saks Fifth Avenue window. I will give you that. But it was on a matte dummy that didn't speak. And the only difference between that dummy and you is you talk." A $30 coat on.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Come on. And then you got the children. "I'm wearing that I'm wearing this." And there's nothing wrong with you wearing that. But you know what? When I put on anything, whether it's an Armani suit or a Gucci this or whatever, at least I know I paid for it. So when I use my card, I don't have to turn over my shoulder and look and see, is Meg coming to get me? As there has been so many incidents throughout the years at the brawls where, you know, people have been arrested because the cops were looking for them. I won't mention those names either, but, you know, some of them are here and some of them are not here. So I'm like, you're wearing... Okay? You don't have a swimming pool in your backyard and you don't have a telephone. Go figure. So you want to... Listen, if I had all of that, I would go and sell my stuff and have a better life. I mean, I do things too. You know, I was young and I had like 7 charge cards for every store in New York. Orbax, Gimbal, Macy's, Corvettes. These Corvettes and Gimbals no longer in existence. Beatlemans, Lord and Taylor's. And then people are like, "Well, that's nice." I said, "Yeah, I bought this at Lord and Taylor." "Oh, you went there?" I said, "Yes, 424 Fifth Avenue. Oh. And then after there, I went to Saks Fifth Avenue, 611 Fifth Avenue. And then I crossed the street to Botticelli's. You know who they are, and bought some shoes.
Yes.
I know where I send my bills to and pay my bills, so that's why I have the addresses in my head.
Okay.
It's age, yeah. I mean, you know, I just looked at people that, you know, my thing is if you're up there and you're wearing something that you got off of Kraft or whatever, well, then why should you feel proud? It didn't come through your name. It didn't come through your hard work. But there are some kids that do work in rooms and, you know, and they can afford these designer labels. Like, you know, I give John... Yeah, I love John Martino.
Shout out to all these people. Shout out to everyone who did their thing.
Of
and
course.
who's living it different and doing it and turning it out.
Yes.
Right. And shout out to them and to those who are hearing our show right now up in, what do you call that place? Well, while you're away on vacation, you know, just remember we love you. And when you come back, try to live a different life. Try to live a more positive life.
Right.
You know, because now, you know, the days of the 80s are gone. So these kids out here who may be possibly trying to do checks and things of that nature or stolen credit cards, they're getting caught really fast.
I know. The world is cracking down. The government is really cracking down on things. So children really got to shape it up for the future.
And you know
yeah, but not only that, because you got to think about it, that all the ones who they caught were turning in information to get shorter times. In other words, this is how we did this is how we did that. So all of that is what they learned, so that it would be difficult for them to do it now.
Right. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just one thing. Who wants to go to, but then you have some kids out there, which, I used to be a part of the radio internet show a couple of years ago called The Red Carpet. And I did like 6 series on mental illness. Because when it comes to, look, the gay lifestyle, it's really difficult. It's like I look at the black gays and the Hispanic gays differently. What I mean by that, because, people might get like, what are you talking about?
Right, do tell me more. Do tell.
Our African American people have that mentality, that slavery mentality that's down to them. It's like it's in the genes, it's in the DNA. And just in case they don't know what I'm talking about, just look up DNA and you'll understand, deoxyribonucleic acid, that's what life is all about, because that's your whole pattern to everything. But, it's like a lot of the children, I hate to say it, especially in the ballroom, like just recently, they put up, sympathy and condolences for poor Asia, and everybody was going, oh my God, rest in peace, people crying, falling out. Then we find she's not dead, that she's still here.
Wow.
This happens a lot because people will go ahead on and talk without having facts. Then you have, there was going on, I don't even want to repeat it, on, Facebook, in regards to the passing of Tony Milan prior to his passing. And, the sad part is that, there are some evil people out there. There are some people, and this goes back to why I did the 6 series of the internet radio show, because these kids suffer from mental illness. This one got bipolar. This one's depressed. That one has OCD. This one is schizophrenic. There's just so many levels. And then you topple that with drugs. We're not just talking about the pharmaceutical drugs. We're talking about you're adding on the recreational drugs. So you don't know whether you're going left, south, north. You don't know if you're going up or down. You're just uncertain about who you are. Going back to what you asked about, the drugs that we did, the marijuana and the acid was purple, or Snoopy tabs or whatever, you just put it on your tongue. And then there was those pills that, I don't know why people would want to do that, where they can look at their arm when they get high, they just run into their veins.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Or powerful LSD.
No good.
Fine oil. Yeah, but now the kids are doing 3 and 4 drugs all together.
Oh, yeah, they're mixing all kinds of drugs, all kinds of weed and pills and alcohol, everything. Energy drinks, 9 to 5.
Yeah, and we wonder why we turn on the news and hear people stabbing, or just like they did last week in Newark, New Jersey. 2 teenagers were shot dead, but they weren't the intended targets.
Yeah.
So they're dead for nothing. And that happens all too often, just like the children and burying somebody before their time.
Right.
It's sad, it's scary, and again, I preach, go get some help. Find you a counselor, a program, find you somebody, and stop blaming the world because your mother didn't hug you.
You better preach
It's not our fault. If she didn't have an extra roll of toilet tissue in the bathroom and you had to use paper, that's your problem. Don't be angry at the rest of the world because you have all this anger issues and all these things going on in your head and you don't do anything about it. All you want to do is be evil and bury people and make nasty comments and hide behind screens.
Misery does the company. You know what they say.
Of course it does.
Well, you know what? All I can do is stay away from people that are so negative. But you know something? It's sad because it's almost like from people that's negative, when you, like I said, Facebook should give me a trophy for having the most blocked people in the world.
Yes.
I don't want to ignorant people. Every time you turn around and making a post, let someone listen, be. Yeah, who wants to hear that all the time?
Yeah, I see it all the time on Facebook. It gets annoying. It does.
Sure, when we had Walk For Me Wednesdays, or with Juan LaPerla, and I love me some Juan, and Juan knows